Olá, boa noite a todos, Brasil, Portugal. Estamos aqui com a nossa tradicional live de terça, hoje com o monstro do Thrash Metal, Chuck Billy. É impressionante eu estar falando com o Chuck Billy, nós estarmos aqui com um ídolo de infância e é muito gratificante. Welcome, Chuck. Welcome to Heavy Culture. Yeah!
How you guys going?
Bem-vindo, Ivan. Bem-vindo, Miguel.
Então, grande satisfação estar aqui.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Olá, boa noite a todos, desde Portugal para o mundo e um abraço para o Brasil, para estes dois artistas que estão aqui daquele lado. E claro, é um prazer enorme estar a falar com o Chuck e vamos agora voltar para a língua anglo-saxónica, porque senão o Chuck fica assim meio abanado. Chuck, now we speak in English because we said everything we wanted in Portuguese, for both for Portugal and Brazil, and for the Portuguese countries, at least the Portuguese-speaking countries. There are a lot. I believe that Portuguese is the sixth most spoken language in the world. So this is lots of countries that can understand in Portuguese, but we are talking to you. You speak English, and we will do it this way. Chuck, okay. It's a real honor to have you with us in Heavy Culture. I'm sure that all the fans that knew that you were coming to Heavy Culture live stream, they were, you know, very pleased with this news, and here we are. Here we are to know everything about you and about Testament. So I start today from a perspective of a journalist that today much is said about the US around the world. How is your day going, and have you already made your choice?
Yeah, I voted already, and the day so far so good, but the day's not over, and I'm sure we'll be seeing something on the news later today. Just because, I mean, just this past weekend here in my town where I live, they had a big Trump rally where everybody, it must have been for at least an hour, cars going by the house with flags, Trump flags, and just honking their horns for at least an hour. And you know, a lot of ruckuses going around here. So, you know, we'll see. You know, I think we just need to get through it, you know, and see what happens. But I see on the news everybody's boarding up businesses and they're prepared for craziness.
Yeah, we hear sometimes that there are some people afraid of a civil craziness after the results. It's really weird to know something like that. Oh, today is voting day, so I'm afraid of what's going on. Let's not talk about politics, but let's go to different subjects. We all have to agree that you are you know, a fighter, a survivor, and we heard that in March you were positive to COVID. This is an issue. This is something that we have to talk about it, and we have to know both parties. And as I said before, there are some people that believe this is a hoax. And you were positive. How is your health today? Starting from there, and please let us know about you know, your experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, we brought it back from Europe. You know, of course, we finished the Day Strikes Back with Exodus, Death Angel in March, and the last two shows the last show in Germany was canceled, and that's when really things started shutting down. We've seen that week there was like 10,000, 5,000 capacities, 2,500 capacities. The started getting smaller and smaller in the attendance levels, and so the second to last show, we found out that everything's shutting down, and that's when we knew it's serious. And we knew we were ready to go home. We've been there 6 weeks. We were ready. None of us were feeling ill. Nobody in the Testament camp was feeling ill until we got home. We all flew home. We landed on Thursday night. By Friday morning, my wife was feeling sick, and within a text message from the crew and some of the other bands, we found out other people had the same symptoms. So at that point, we all wanted to go get tests, and it was tough getting tests at that point because it was so new. The U.S. wasn't prepared for that. There not enough tests. They didn't. We couldn't even go get a test unless we had symptoms, which was kind of ridiculous. We're like, well, we just came from Europe. We went to all the countries we're not supposed to be, and we flew on a plane. We're home. What do you mean not give us a test? And so of course the next day, once we're feeling ill, of course we call back. We say, now we feel bad, so now we need to go in. And went and got the test. And it really took us down for, at least me and my wife, for a good couple of weeks. We were tired, achy, headaches, lost the taste, the smell. And then after, getting over it, we still have ongoing issues that go on. It's like my skin and hair. You start losing some hair, and your skin's really dry. And every now and then I'm just tired. I need to take a nap. Just these things that were just now, when I was ill, you had them, but now they kind of come back every now and then. Smell some weird smelling things. So I don't know how much longer, or if it's going to lean on forever, but I haven't tried really singing hard yet. So I don't know how it affected my lungs yet, but I'm doing a lot of bicycle exercising to try to get my lungs going and keep them strong.
I think that's something that we can see in your feed, Facebook feed, that you are trying to do your best to be in shape, and that's very important, because some people think that exercise is just for those people that want to be fit. No, it's in fact an healthy issue.
Yeah, it's just a lifestyle. I mean, I had diabetes a few years back, and with exercise and the right diet, I got rid of it. No medication no more. So something with health and diet is great for just making you feel good, for one, first of all, and just to live a longer life for your family.
That's great. Before we head to our next question, we would like to invite people to ask questions to Chuck Billy if you want. And I believe that's a big chance to ask him whatever you want. So we go to our next question. We recently received Master John Zazula in Heavy Culture, and you wrote some words on his book that will be released in Brazil next year with Valsir Chalas from Woodstock, and we would like to ask you what memories do you have from those golden and violent times of the beginning of thrash metal?
Well, I'm lucky to remember any of them because we're all young and drinking and partying hard and living it up hard. You know what I mean? But I now looking back, I realize and see how blessed we were to be able to, fortunate enough actually to be able to live and play music in something new that came to town. Like, when Metallica Exodus started stomping down doors in those early days and those early demos, it really put a spark to the Bay Area because we were kind of like more of a glam hair bands and punk rock combination. So I think once that scene started to develop really fast too, in a matter of a few years, next, Exodus, our Slayers coming up to play, and Suicidal, and all the bands from LA were coming up to play the Bay Area. And quick, that we were fortunate enough to have really cool club owners, Wes at Ruthie's Inn, and the brothers that owned the Stone, the Corona brothers. And they were always good to the bands and the people and the scene. And it was just, I don't know. I mean, looking back, we were very fortunate to grow up in that. I mean, I don't know if that'll ever have a time like that. I don't think the Bay Area could probably ever rehash that again. It was a special thing then, different time, different era. There was not like the whole internet and the whole, promotion on that, how it is now. So it was a lot different.
And Chuck, do you have an idea? Before that, George, do you have an idea of the impact you gave to lots of people around the world? And can you imagine the billion times your music was playing all around the world, but mostly the big influence you guys gave to lots of bands in the world?
Well, I mean, yeah, and it's you don't necessarily have a plan when you're in a band. That's what you're going to do and influence. But I think we're Testament has been fortunate is that we've pretty much stuck to course with our music and our style and what we want to do. We don't want to try to follow. We kind of try to do our own thing. And I think in some way it's kept us keep evolving, I guess, because I think from record one till the record that we just did, you can definitely hear the evolution of the band, but still I think those 20 and 17-year-old kids are still trying to write it and play it. And we still think we're those guys making music,
Yeah. Now I'll interact with Ivan and George, asking them if they were like me, playing thousands of times, following, not shuffling music, but always the same music over the wall. Man, it was like over the wall a lot of.
Yeah.
How was it with you guys in Brazil?
Oh, are you talking to me?
No, I was talking to these Brazilian friends
George?
I have over there.
What's up, George?
A minha pergunta é, Chuck, what is the best Bay Area band you saw playing?
That's a tough question, but I mean, it's very tough. I mean, when? Today, last year, 1983, 1985? I mean, what do you want to call it? Because
you are being polite.
Yeah, well, let's start at the beginning. 1983 or so, around there. I would say because Metallica was a bigger influence on everybody and with the success of John Zazula working them good like he did and getting them to where they were. Metallica would probably have to be that band. And unfortunately, maybe they came up from LA, but Cliff Burton, Bay Area guy, made him come up and be a Bay Area band. So, just think if Cliff wasn't here and those guys didn't move up here, would the scene have been the same? I don't know, because Metallica didn't fit in LA with those glam bands.
Yeah.
So,
Ivan.
Pergunta para ele se ele fosse escolher, depois da pandemia, para fazer uma tour com 5 bandas, quais são as outras 4 bandas, além do Testament, que ele ia escolher para tocar junto?
So Ivan is asking, after all this COVID stuff is gone, there would be a tour around the world with 5 bands, with Testament included. What would be the 4 bands you would choose to go?
Of course, Iron Maiden. Of course. If you're giving me the choice, I'm going to have to pick my favorites like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. Let's see. Who else? Of course, Slayer would have to come out of retirement again. They'd have to come back. Testament and Exodus.
Oh.
Okay.
Miguel, dá uma olhada aí no público, por favor.
Okay, so we have some people writing some things on our chat. João Rodrigues is saying that you are the best thrash vocalist of all times, and is a fan. We are sure about that. So what could you say to João about this?
Well, I mean, I thank you for the compliment. I've never regarded myself as the best singer. I think I've developed myself into who I am. I haven't really tried to copy any other vocalists. I've always kind of tried to just do what I feel is good myself. And you know, thanks for the compliment. I mean, you know, I've took my lessons. I've always tried to improve. So, you know, hopefully I've known I've gotten to be a better songwriter. I know I've got to be a better singer. I've known I've got to take care of myself better when I'm on tours, which enforced gives me able to do a better performance for everybody. So, you know, I've learned, you know, over the years how to be a better Chuck Billy lead singer.
That's great. By the way,
o timbre da voz dele é muito peculiar, dá para reconhecer muito a voz dele em qualquer álbum que ele canta.
I agree with Ivan when he says that your tone is the only tone like it's Chuck Billy's tone.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I would like to ask you something more technical. You know, maybe we have some other vocalists watching this, and maybe they would like to know what can they do to change their performances. Not to imagine when you started. I believe that you were singing like, you know, with this rage, almost uncontrollable rage, that you were singing like, blah! And over the years, you changed it because you felt like you can do better technically. So what would you say to a guy that is starting to sing, or even that already started some years ago?
Well, I mean, you definitely, if you really want to take it serious, you definitely have to take some lessons and take it serious. It's like anything you do in life. The more you do it, the better you get. You know, if you want to lift weights and get stronger, the more you lift weights, you're going to be stronger. So when you train your voice and you study it and you do things and you try to mimic singers that you like or you want to kind of sound like there's a lot of singers out there I'd love to sound like, but I can't sing that high. I can't do the screams like that. I can't do that, but I love it, you know, but that's not who I am. So I tell people, just be comfortable with you do and try to do the best that you can do with what you have. And I've seemed to get away with that for 30 something years now. So, you know, there's something to that. You just got to stick with it, and just, it comes with time. You know, that's all, you know, anything you do, it just comes with time.
Yeah, great.
Legal.
Jorge.
Pergunta para ele a influência gutural dele, que foi, né, foi ficando mais gutural. Da onde partiu, né? O que motivou essa mudança? Ficou mais, né, mais gutural o vocal? Sempre tive essa dúvida.
In fact, Jorge is asking something about the changes we all felt on some records, that over the years your voice became more low, going more guttural than in the past. Was it intentionally, or does it mean that you had to sing like that because of any other issue?
Well, I had to sing like that because when we first started the band, I didn't know any better about what my voice was comfortable at, what tuning. So when we first started writing songs, all the songs was tuned, all the guitars and music was written in A440, which, you know, that's a little higher. And when I was younger, yeah, I had a little higher voice, so I can get up there a little more. Over the years, with all the bands starting to down tune a little bit, I said, man, that's more of a natural tone and area for me, is a little tuned down. So I think when Alex left the band and when we started writing the Low record, that's when I don't think Alex wanted to try to experiment with the different tuning. So once he wasn't there, we tried different tunings, and that's when we found a more comfortable tuning on the Low record, where I sang Dog-Faced Gods, where I sang more of a death voice all the way through the whole song. And it was more comfortable because of the tuning. And I realized, wow, you know, so when me and Eric started getting the new band to tour the old songs, it's like, can we tune those songs down to the comfortable pitch for me? Yeah, we could do that. And then once we started doing it, it felt really comfortable, and it gave me even more range. And I was like, wow, why didn't we do this a long time ago, man? Now I make these old songs even better because now they're the right pitch for me to do more things with them now. And it's more comfortable for me now. And so that, you know, that's important too. And I think, you know, when we got to the Low record, that was our final record with Atlantic Records, and our contract was done. and the whole Seattle grunge movement just was starting to take over. And around that time, you know, there was probably over 100 radio stations, FM stations that would play heavy metal during drive time, traffic time, which is, you know, you can never get that. And soon as that grunge started hitting the Seattle Nirvanas and Pearl Jams, the radio stations jumped from all the metal and went to that sound. And a lot of bands started losing airplay. Then a lot of bands started just getting dropped from labels. And it just was this vicious thing that happened. So once we ended our deal, we had the next record was the Demonic record. And we were a little pissed off and angry and tuned down. And Gene Hoglan joined the band. And we said, holy shit, you know, this is the drummer. This guy is just sick. And Eric was writing some real angry, tuned down stuff. And at first I tried to sing and use my natural voice, but it didn't feel correct. So I went to the death tone and the death voice, and that felt really comfortable on that. But after a year and a half of doing that record, it beat my voice up on tour, and I was like, man, I don't know if I could sing like that for a whole tour. I better pull it back a little bit and get back to what I do and try to start blending both of them and learn how to get them both, work them both together.
Yeah, and we take the comment. I would like to ask the comment from Halmahard. I'll ask George to pull that comment. They are speaking about the most recent record. So, but before that, I would like to. You said something about Gene Hoglan, and I was thinking that you always had great musicians going with this long journey, but would like to ask you about what are your feelings of working with Steve DiGiorgio and Gene Hoglan? For us, they are monsters in music.
Same for me, they're monsters.
Yeah, and
you know, we had when Gene came in, and then when we got DiGiorgio to play on the Demonic record, you know, the connection was there. We knew that. So when Gene came back to the band when Steve was gone, obviously when Greg left, who's the first call? Of course, Steve DiGiorgio, you know, and I always wanted Steve to be there. It's just that we had that reunion and we had to kind of carry on that reunion band. And it reached its point, and I think for the better, because once Steve got into the band, it really gave a new breath of life back into the band. Him and Gene were really solid musicians and had that back end tight. And he's just a fun guy to be on tour with. He keeps us laughing, and he's just, you know, we have a really, really, really good band dynamic right now. We never have fights. We never argue. We get along. We have fun at this point in our life. Right now, we're having fun playing music. We're fortunate to be doing this long.
And that's a funny thing you say about the. There are lots of musicians that talk about it. Something that we usually don't see when you guys are traveling and working, because when we go to concerts, it's fun, but you are working. It's so different, and for you guys must be really hard to go from one country to another and sometimes play, maybe 2 gigs a day, sometimes maybe. And it must be very hard to be with people that they are not your family, but, you know, it's not easy.
Well, I think we've all matured where I think that was the problem when we split up earlier, the first band, because we didn't know how to live with each other and kind of maybe respect each other's space and opinions, I guess. But I think now this is a business, and we enjoy each other's company. We enjoy each other's performances on stage, and we're all friends. When we go home, do we call each other every day? No. You know, we let everybody have their own time, and when we come back and see each other, it's hugs and high fives and come back to work, you know?
Yeah, great. I'll ask Josh to bring the question that someone did. We would like to ask people to come with questions. So Alex Rock is asking how was to collaborate in Rock in Rio with great underground Brazilian bands. And what are your thoughts on those bands you had the chance to share the stage? Bands from Brazil.
It was great. I mean, I got the call from Andreas from Sepultura, put me in touch with the band. And the guys actually were staying here in Las Vegas, the band. So they were came and sang our Testament show, and we talked and said, yeah, I always wanted to do Rock in Rio. Testament's never done that, and maybe someday we'll get invited. But I thought, man, this is my opportunity. I get to go. And so when they asked me to play, I'm like, man, all I got to go is sing with 2 or 3 songs. Shoot, heck yeah, I'm going, man. That'd be fun. So it was a great festival. I kept telling the guys, and I even told Rachel, you need to get us there because it's a great festival. The fans were great. Just the passion, just everything was amazing. All the backstage, all the bands that brought me there, and all their friends and family really took care of me and treated me like family. And we're friends now, probably for life.
And I also would like to have the chance to ask you: do you remember Vagos Metal Fest?
Vagos, yeah, of course, yeah.
It's in my city, my town, Aveiro. So Vagos is a small place from Aveiro.
Well, we love that because whenever we play up there, we love it because we found a nice little. We spent a week there a few times up there on the water there, and it's a beautiful place. And
so you have the beach, and then you have the great food, the great wine.
Amazing. So and whenever we can come play Vagos Festival, we'll be like, yes, please.
You were supposed to play this year in Vagos, right?
Yeah.
So it is postponed to next year.
Yes.
So far.
Yes.
I'll meet you there.
We will.
I'll meet you there. Let's go. This time we have a question from J. Borla. So he's asking, Billy, what was your biggest regret from the early years and the 90s era of Testament's career?
I don't know if there's a lot of regrets. I mean, I look back now as far as, the business goes. Maybe we let it weren't paying attention close enough, with labels, management, lawyers, the whole thing. We were just, when we signed up for the record contract, we thought it was sex, drugs, rock and roll. Let's go on tour, and didn't think about rest of the business. So, I think we're very lucky to have a guy like Johnny Z sign the band, and me continuing being friends with him, because Johnny actually made us do something when the band broke up and we had our Atlantic deal ended. He made us start a record company, me and Eric. So we've been licensing our Testament music ever since then. And that's always been the best thing we've ever happened to this band as far as business goes. Maybe the past, we lost the past, but we're still here in business to make stuff in the future. So, you got to watch your business. Always try to save your publishing, retain your rights to your music. We've had a couple of situations where we signed record deals and the label, even the Gathering record, which is a very good record, the label we signed with went bankrupt. So if we did not own those masters, that record would have been gone. Nobody had ever seen it again. So fortunately, we own that master, and we're able to take it to like Nuclear Blast and everybody else, and keep it out there.
Okay, so maybe we can go from there to the present. And Titans of Creation was a real punch in the face, and we would like to ask you how's being the repercussion of this work has been, and what are your thoughts? Did it please you? And do you believe it pleased the fans?
Well, I don't know. We don't really try to please the fans anymore. We're kind of trying to please us first at this point, It was a much different record. The Brotherhood of the Snake record was very difficult for me and Eric to get written. It took a long time and a lot of stress on our relationship, and it was tough. So this record's process was much better. I probably loosened up a little more on this record than I ever have in the past. I'm always the one who takes Eric's music and criticizes it and wants to change it and rearrange it. And this time I really came with an open mind and said, you know what, I'm going to just write me the songs, because brother, it was so difficult and took so long. I don't want to do that. Just give me the music and let's move on. And so by doing that, Eric really came up with some really unique riffs that weren't typical Testament and even metal for that matter, I think. But somehow we made it into Testament song, you know, and at the end, when we finally put all of it together, we're like, wow, that song came out a lot better than I thought it was going to come out. So it wasn't as painful. And when I finally listened to the final product, I thought, wow, all these songs really have their own identity and they all tell their own story. And the record is a good record to put on from the beginning to the end and just listen to it without going, man, there's a bad song on there. I think they all just really go well together.
So you will start to promote that album live when possible. But do you have an idea if the guys are working on new stuff already, taking the chance of being, you know, stopped at the moment? So they aren't.
We can't. Okay. We don't work like that. When we write, we go into the writing mode and then work it and get done. And,
all together.
Yeah. Well, me and Eric start it, but or me and Alex or whatever. Starts with the guitar and me, and we get it going. But we have a record, we're done, and we just at this point we don't want to go write a record now. That's our mental stress of all this. We don't want to be in this mental frame and make some music right now. I don't want to. So you just got to focus on how do I promote this record, make the most out of this record. Maybe if I can't tour, how do I keep pushing this record, because it's a good record, you know. We'll get out there. I know you got a question. You're trying.
Yeah. Ivan is going to ask a question.
Eu ia falar que eles vêm numa sequência dos 4 últimos álbuns matadores, assim.
Okay.
Mostrando como é que quem manda no thrash metal atualmente.
Okay, so Ivan used a nice thing, nice words, telling that you guys are bosses now in thrash metal. So he was saying that the latest 4 works of you guys were crushing all the time and growing and growing.
Yes.
I think, you know what I think a lot has to do with it is, you know, once after my illness, the cancer, you know, I didn't think I was ever going to play music again. Okay. I thought it was over. I looked in the mirror. I was bald, had no hair. I wasn't the singer of Testament. I think once we had that benefit and I reconnected with Alex and Louie and Greg and we had the reunion, that changed it, because I was at the point almost to say, that's it, I'm done playing music. If it wasn't for that reunion and seeing those guys again for the first time, it might not have happened. So moving forward, back then before the cancer, you were always in competition with your other bands and, you know, trying to impress and be better and do better and sell more records and sell more tickets. You're always in competition. Once we had the reunion, all that shit was gone. It was like, you know what? I didn't care less what anybody thinks. You know what? We got the band back together. We should be happy that we get to do this with each other. We get to maybe finish something that we started all together. We were like fired up. So none of that other bullshit mattered anymore. We were lucky to play. And because of that, we were focused on making the music happy, makes us happy. Not what everybody else is going to think or whatever. Is it heavy enough for the rest of the bands on the radio station? We were like, this makes us happy. This feels good. I like this. And that's what we did. And so for those next records, that's kind of how we took it. And because of that, maybe it's made us a better band or a more comfortable band. We're more comfortable in our skin. I don't know. But it's made it for better music.
Like you said before, you guys now write for yourselves first, and then you feel the feedback from the public.
Well, if we feel good and everybody loves feeling good, like we're feeling good with it, then they get it. You know, they get what we're trying to do.
That's it. And for what we have seen, you guys aren't getting soft. You are, pushing the limits all the time, and that's great. That's great for thrash metal.
Yeah.
Ivan,
qual álbum que ele indicaria para um cara que estaria começando a ouvir metal hoje e fosse conhecer o Testament? Qual o álbum que ele pudesse entregar assim dele, que ele entregasse para o cara e que representasse o Testament?
Okay, from all these 13 records you guys have, there was a newcomer to thrash metal. What Testament album you would present him to start with?
For me, the New Order. The New Order to me is the classic Testament thrash metal record where I found my identity, because the first record I sang Zetro's songs. I was new to thrash metal, so I was really in a training mode that first record. Once I got, and it did all that touring. Once I got to the New Order and I was ready to write my songs and ready to be in the band, and those guys wrote some really great riffs on that. We wrote all those songs on an acoustic guitar in the back of a bus touring through Europe, and we really
Europe.
we didn't know how it sounded, until we got home. We wrote like over into the pit on an acoustic guitar, and we got home and played it electric. Like, holy shit, that's heavy! Wow, that's killer. So all these songs came to life once we got home and took them off the acoustic and plugged in. And, holy shit, this stuff's really good. So that one for me.
We are talking about writing and stuff like that. We will take the question from Jota Borda 20 again. Is asking what are your thoughts on Alex's rap videos?
I love it because Alex is pretty a reserved guy, and he's a private guy, and for him to get out of the box and do something like the rap videos, to have fun and get his message across to people in a fun way, right on, man. And to me, it just shows me, man, we're all going crazy sitting at home with this COVID this long. So, he's having fun, but hey, it's getting a reaction, right? So good for him.
Okay, so now Alma Hard is saying that Return to Serenity video broadcast many times at a metal show in MTV Brazil. So these guys remember,
Yeah, well,
there were good shows.
Yeah, but why Return to Serenity? That's kind of what makes me mad in America, like MTV, when they like Testament, it's a ballad song or something. Like, that's not Testament. How come we ever think a ballad when it has to be commercial? Where's Over the Wall? Where's all the heavy songs? So
you guys, I'm not lying when I tell you that it took many years for a metal band to go to Portuguese TV. I tell you that. Unfortunately, but suddenly we start to have some things, some opening ideas, and that was great. And we have a new question from Paulo Lisboa. Is asking what really happens in the beginning to change the name. What happens when you had to change the name Legacy to Testament?
Boa pergunta, Paulo.
Well, we had the name Legacy all the way up to when we got into the recording studio making the record. And that's when we met Johnny Z and all his Megaforce East Coast family. We're out East Coast. Billy Milano, we met through Johnny and those guys from MOD, SOD. And Billy knew we had to change the name, and he came up with, hey, Testament. That's kind of like leaving a testament. It's kind of like a legacy. Kind of like the same reference. And we said, oh, okay. And then Eric, the artist, he drew the logo, and it had the T's and the A, and it looked real symmetrical, kind of like the Metallica logo in a sense. It's just very symmetrical. We said, wow, that looks good. Testament. Let's do that. Testament. That looks good.
It was almost biblical.
Well, I mean, I look back and go, wish it was a heavier name? Yeah, maybe, but it's
perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect, man. It's a name that you say Testament, and every thrasher in the world is like, oh, looking for something. Let's go to a question that a lot of people ask, and I asked some friends to do some questions, and there were many people asking this. So much is said about the Big Four, okay, in the US. So don't you think that Testament, Exodus, Overkill, and some other band could not form a Big Four better version?
Well, I mean, that's difficult what you're saying, because if you're saying the Big Four, what does that mean? The Big Four. The way I take it meaning is back in that day when all of us started and came out, those were the first four bands that had gold records moving into platinum records. The mainstream was really starting to see potential in metal and signing bands, major labels signing them. You know, so when I hear Big Four, don't you think you're the Big Four? Well, I would love to be the Big Four, but we weren't there yet. Like Slayer and Metallica and all of them, they were already on that move, making moves. We were, all of those bands you mentioned, we were right in the gate, ready to go. And then that Seattle grunge bomb hit, and all the major labels were dropping metal bands, and the radio wasn't playing metal anymore, and metal was a bad word, and it just changed the dynamic, and everybody went back underground again, kind of, and just stayed true to what you do, you know. Fortunately, you know, the metal scene got large enough to where labels like Nuclear Blast and Metal Blade and all these started becoming not just independent, they started becoming major labels, because they started getting all the major talent that metal had out there, you know. So it grew back, but at the end, metal's still here, sticking hard, you know, going nowhere.
And grunge is dead.
Grunge is dead.
Hey, Chuck, this was a great answer from you, because it's quite a different perspective about the Big Four. When we listeners and buyers, when we hear this Big Four name, we take it to the biggest bands, you know, what people say about the biggest bands. So maybe this is the time to ask you, once you guys signed with Nuclear Blast, I would like to ask you some hard question, to choose 4 bands from Europe to be the Big Four in Europe.
The Big Four in Europe?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, I mean, we're talking, I mean, that's
from the past, if you want.
Yeah, but okay, so if you're talking era, like the same era that those Big Four were in, I would
no. Imagine the beginnings of thrash metal in Europe.
Yeah, but that's with bands like Destruction and, you know,
okay.
Let's see, who else? Creator, of course, got to have Creator. Let's see.
Não vamos influenciar ele, né? Sodom.
Sodom, yeah. You know, but for that era, that classic, I mean, that's tough. It's let's see, who else? Angel Witch? I don't know.
Okay. Those are your choices. Okay.
A gente foi pro alemão. A gente foi só pro alemão, né? Esqueceu da Europa.
Europe has lots of countries, and in fact, it was Germany the main country of the choices. Okay, let's take the question from Guillermo Silvano. He's saying, how did Testament's genre changes happened, and did you guys decided that this is the way to go from now on, or did it just happen naturally?
As far as what? I don't get it. The genre changes.
I really don't know because what he means by genre, because it's still thrash metal. Maybe he's saying that, for instance, the last 4 albums are, you know, straight and like real punches in the face. So you guys are. It feels like you are coming back.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I just, like I said, I think the ease of having the reunion again. I keep going back to that because, you know, I'm very lucky. Eric Peterson is really a great songwriter. He never copies himself. He's definitely not the kind of guy. He never really listens to anybody else. He's into his black metal. He loves his black metal bands, but he doesn't try to push it anything else. So he's always really creative and comes up with his own things, which I'm very lucky, and Tessa's very lucky to have him in that sense. So, you know.
Okay, so Guilherme was saying about becoming more slow and death metal sounding. Okay, now I understand what he meant.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, we've changed in some of those. Of course, we can't write thrash every single song, you know. I love it. We got plenty of fast ones, and believe me, it's hard to put a set together because you're like, wait, that whole set is thrash. Where's the slower ones to set the timing to make it a different mood, you know? So you have to put something different in there. I would say, you know, we haven't done ballads since we've had the original band. We have darker songs, you know, that I wouldn't say they're a ballad, but they're darker and slower. But those just feel good to do. You know, I've always hear people say, man, I again, like Return to Serenity. When are you going to do another one of those? I don't know. Maybe someday, but I don't know.
Okay, looking at the we were talking about genres, and you said something about black metal. So what kind of genres do you prefer, or you listen to more often?
It depends my mood, but again, I have Sirius Radio, so if I want some faster thrash, I go to the metal station. If I want the Boneyard, I go to Ozzy, and you know, something else in the middle, I go to Octane or whatever. It depends what I want to hear, but there is definitely a lot of new bands out there that are being pushed on radio and Sirius, and a lot of them are heavy and fast and melodic. You know, they're bringing the thrash element, but still having a very, very big pop chorus. You know, there's that whole new thing I keep hearing people doing. So, I mean, it's good that everything evolves, you know, and it is evolving and growing and changing. And that's good for music in general, but it's good for heavy metal because it just keeps us all growing. And for me, you know, I see myself, especially like around the Gathering record, it was almost like this full circle where I started thrash and went to demonic all the way back to the Gathering and came back full circle again to where all of a sudden it's popular, that style again. It's like you kind of ride it out, you know?
So this thought that you have hope in thrash metal future.
Oh, big time. Especially now I see on the internet, young kids that can play the shit out of guitars and drums and instruments. There's a lot of talent. There's a lot of metal heads that are raising their kids to be metalers already. So I think the future's metal is going to be great. And I think, you know, who knows what's going to be a new sound or what's next, you know?
Miguel.
Sim.
Pergunta para eles, o Testament ele teve uma mudança mais drástica do álbum Low para frente, que teve no Low, teve o James Murphy na guitarra. Pergunta se ele tem alguma influência. E qual foi o álbum que mais teve sucesso comercial deles?
So Ivan is saying that you shift sound after Low, and after James Murphy was with you guys. He's asking if... desculpa, Ivan, pergunta novamente em português.
Do álbum Low para frente teve o guitarrista James Murphy. Sim. E aí do álbum dali em diante o som teve uma mudança, ficou um pouco mais agressivo. E a segunda pergunta é qual álbum que eles tiveram mais sucesso, porque no The Gathering teve o Lombardo, gravou a bateria, e foi um álbum que vendeu muito aqui no Brasil.
Okay, so he's asking why after Low was the sound even more aggressive, and what was your most successful album after all those years?
Well, again, after the Low record, that was the last record with Atlantic. Demonic was, like I said, that was just Gene coming in. We never had a drummer play in the band like that, and the tuned down songs definitely made it just get heavier. you know, I always look back, you know, there's a thing in America called SoundScan where they, you know, count your record sales and all that. They didn't come up with that till like 1992. So by then we've already had 4 or 5 records out, and don't know the official count of those first 5 records or 4 records. But we do know, like, starting from the Ritual record, which, you know, was at a point where maybe we were kind of going separate ways musically, and maybe we're with each other too much up to that point, because we did, you know, when we started our career, we did a record every year, 87, 88, 89, 90, and we wrote them and did tours, no breaks, just make music and play. So there was no breaks then. So I think when we did that Ritual record, it was a really polished record, because Alex came back and the record just seemed to turned out to be a little more polished than I thought it was going to be. And Eric, the riffs slowed down. It was just really kind of tame, I guess is the word. But yet that record, I think, sold the most out of all of our records. But at that point, you got to understand too, is that we were on Atlantic Records, and that's a big machine that knows how to push bands and sell bands and move records. So we had a big machine working for Testament, and they were, you know, we were right on the edge of still having MTV and all that stuff. So of course we're getting a lot of airplay and a lot of video play and selling a lot of records and selling out all our tours, you know, for the, you know, those first 4 or 5 years everywhere. So
do you guys ever felt pressure to do a designed album, designed from their part? We want this or that.
Well, it was towards the end of the relationship with Atlantic Records, because they didn't know metal. They didn't understand it, and they didn't know where to sell metal or who to push it to listen to it or buy it. They didn't have a clue. So every time they were talking to us when it was time to write a record or do a video, where's the ballad? Where's the single? Let me hear the single. Let me hear the ballad. We need the A&R guy to have something to sell to the radio station. You know, so those guys were pushing us. We're like, what? We don't want to do that. We're not that. But we didn't know any better. And we thought, this is what we need to do to be rich and famous and big rock stars or whatever.
And does that create any issue inside the band?
Well,
you know, when they are pushed, is there someone that asks,
you know,
okay,
we weren't real. We were almost fake. We were trying to be something that we weren't. We were trying to be something that we all developed, and we put a lot of years from 1987, the first record, on tour, all the way up to 92. We worked hard and toured hard. You know,
and you struggle with different positions inside the band.
Well, just, you know, the band was solid all the way up to the end there. It's once Alex and Louis left, then that's when it kind of, the last record low, and then we fell apart. But, you know, it was definitely different then.
Okay, let's look at the. We talk about the most, you know, the most selling album. Let's ask you, what do you think of the scene today with the domain of streaming around the world?
Well, I mean, I think it's good. I think bands are finally starting to maybe see a little better result of streaming and downloading and all that stuff. Unfortunately, us, like in America, I'm not sure everywhere else, I think you guys are a little more fortunate to have record stores still. We don't have record stores anymore. We have Best Buy, which is a TV stereo and appliance store that had CDs in it. Ooh. Well, they stopped selling those last year. So now all we have is like Walmart, Kmart, and maybe like some mom and pop little stores. So the physical sales of records in America went down the drain. And it's been like that for the last couple of years, you know. But on the other hand, you know, our streaming numbers are up like 400%. They're through the roof, you know. So I guess it's a good thing as long as you're getting paid your fair share. I guess that's fine too. It'll help maybe generate more ticket sales for concerts because your exposure is a little bigger. So, you know.
Okay, let's ask the question of Alma Hart. What's the idea from the cover art from Titan's creation? Were you involved?
Well, that record, we had the record finished and we had all the artwork finished. We just didn't have the title of the record finished. And we couldn't figure out what that record cover looked like. Is it Gods of the World, Gods of Creation, Demons of Creation? We couldn't figure out what it looked like or what it was, all the way up to where we had all the rest of the layout done, all the credits, everything was done except for the title. And then finally, I think Eric and them came up with, how about Titans? Those guys look like they could be Titans. Titans of Creation. We're like, yeah, actually that feels strong. That feels good. Yeah, they look like Titans. And we went with it because we knew the album cover was these bigger than life beings with vats of DNA that they were creating new life on a new planet. And the planet down there kind of represented like Mars because they're trying to inhabit Mars now and get life out there. So that was kind of the thought, like we're creating DNA and creating a new civilization on a new planet.
Yeah, I read something about Elon Musk that he wants to go to Mars and the laws will be different from Earth.
I'm sure they will.
Okay, I have a last question for you, Chuck. What are your beliefs for Testament's future?
Well, we're definitely going to just keep making records. We just had a nice chat with Nuclear Blast, and we're going to extend our record contract with them for many more records. I know they say they want to retire with Testament, and Testament wants to retire with Nuclear Blast. So, I think we're just going to wait to get out on the road and tour this record. We're really excited to play these songs live. Because it's going to be a tough year, I think, next year, because all the bands that didn't work this year are all going to try to work next year. So there's going to be a lot of traffic, a lot of concerts, a lot of people has to make a choice what show they're going to want to see. So, it's going to make it a little difficult and crowded out there. So we'll see how it goes. But
I'll tell you one thing: record sales in Europe will go down when you guys come to play to Portugal and all the bands come to Europe. Sorry, and because now we are spending our money in records, and when we have live shows, we just want to be there and kicking ass.
Good. I know we're promoting and we're trying to keep the Bass Strikes Back tour again, a second leg across Europe and America and possibly Japan. So we're trying to keep that thrash package going and get out there and thrash.
Yeah, that's it. So let me tell you that in behalf of the Portuguese people, I thank you a lot for this interview, for joining the Heavy Culture's family. And let's go to Brazil. And by the way, thanking everyone of the questions they did. And join us and subscribe our channel. We will try to do our best to get more interviews with names like Chuck Billy. And that's it. We like to do it. We hope you like it as well. Brazil.
Right. Thanks for having me. Cheers, guys. Ciao.
Chuck,
Ciao.
Thank you very much for serving us and hope to see you soon at the shows around here.
Yeah, me too. You guys be safe, okay?
Pessoal,
You too,
muito obrigado
you too.
pela
All the best.
Obrigado.
Obrigado.
Yes. Pessoal, obrigado.
Inscreva no canal aí, pessoal. Vamos compartilhar o vídeo. Quem tem outros vídeos também que dá para assistir. O pessoal que quiser dar um apoio para nós aí, sigam a gente nas redes sociais e aqui no canal do Heavy Culture. Obrigado.
Deu um pico da minha internet aqui no final da entrevista aí. Pessoal, obrigado. Siga a gente aí. E na próxima a gente vai deixar um mistério no ar de novo, né? Vamos deixar um mistério no ar aí. Miguel, obrigado.
Olha, como
Ivan, obrigado. E a todos. Pessoal aí que participou do peso, foi muito bacana. É nesse momento que a gente vê, né, que o metal tá vivo aí, graças a figuras como o Chuck Billy, né? Abraço a todos. Miguel, muito obrigado.
Bom fim de
Ivan.
semana. Muito obrigado a todos.
Bom início de semana.
Bom início.
É para bom
Ele
fim
tá
de
no
semana
modo
a
mantas.
todos.
Ô, Ivan, ele tá
Tá
no
lá na
modo
frente
mantas.
já.
Ele tá no modo mantas, né? O modo mantas é assim,
Pois é.
ó.
Só final de
Não
semana.
sabe nem mais se tá no final ou no início da semana. Valeu, galera.
Então vá, muito
Abraço.
obrigado, vá. Grande abraço.
Fiquem bem.